We are very concerned about any proposal that would discriminate unfairly against people based on their religion, based on their deepest convictions.
Canada's multicultural minister, Jason Kenney, has vowed to review Quebec's controversial Charter of Values, now proposed by the Parti Québécois. The charter seeks to ban public servants from wearing religious symbols while on the job. With reaction to this, I am joined from Montreal by Salam El-Menmai, president of the Muslim Council of Montreal, Lionel Perret, interim mayor of Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, and with me in Toronto is Balpreet Singh. He is a spokesperson with the World Sikh Organization of Canada. Good to have you all with us. I want to start with you, Balpreet, and the way that this is being laid out and the language that is being used. Are you surprised that when, reporters have talked to people on the street that they're not all so opposed to this?
I think it's being sold in a rather clever manner, saying that this is all about equality. They're selling secularism, when the fact is we've already bought into it. I mean, the rest of the country, everyone is treated equally. But in Montreal and the rest of Quebec, do they think there's a problem where people of faith are discriminating? I mean, there's no evidence to suggest that. So I think on its face, if you ask everyone, should everyone be treated equally? Should no one be forced to go into a certain faith? Everyone will say yes. So I think that kind of explains why everyone's saying, yeah, it sounds good on its face.
And I've got Salam and Mr. Perez as well listening in Montreal to this. I want to go to you now, Salam, and tell us how you think this will affect Muslim women in particular.
Well, this is devastating for Muslim women. This is disproportionately targeting them. Those that would have a face cover, they will be prevented health care. They will actually be denied services. They will, those are coming for education and for integration. They will be sent home while we actually travel thousands of kilometers away, sending our soldiers to guarantee education for women in niqab or otherwise in Afghanistan. So when they come here to our schools, we send them back home. Women who are working as teachers, daycare workers, civil servants, and so many other jobs, nurses and so on, they will be denied their opportunity, especially after integration. We will punish them and say, for your success, now you have to go home or deny your conscience and take off your hijab.
Mr. Perez, I want to bring you in here. We have a couple of boards to show people what would be accepted according to this charter and what wouldn't be accepted, because this is causing some confusion. You wear a kippah. You're an elected official in Montreal, prominent representative of the Jewish community. Tell me your thoughts on the confusion here. A large cross not accepted, a smaller cross accepted, certain headwear accepted, others not.
Well, this demonstrates the incoherence as the plan was presented yesterday, the guiding principles. If we're talking about state neutrality, then if we're going to allow an elected official, which Mr. Dramil said would be allowed, and yet we have other public service employees would not be allowed, there's a clear contradiction. What is more representative of the state than an elected official? If somebody at the top of the food chain should be able to wear it, then why not a lower end? From my perspective as borough mayor, I've been able to be a representative for the last 4 years as an elected official. I've defended the interests of my citizens. I've spoken on a variety of different topics, and I've represented the city of many functions. No one has been able to demonstrate or to point out to how the fact that I wear a kippah has affected my ability to perform my functions.
Bottom line here, sir, if this were to go through, would you still be able to serve?
From what Mr. Dranville has demonstrated, yes. He said there would be an exemption for elected officials, stating that if that's the will of the population, then so be it. This demonstrates that we can have overriding considerations. If, in fact, democracy wants it, if people elect it, then they're ready to forego some of their principles in this charter. This poses a question. If we're ready to forego it, how is it really a fundamental value of Quebec society? There's an inherent contradiction there.
I want to go back to Balpreet. What do you think is at the basis of all of this?
I think at the basis is crass electoral politics. I think it's just trying to get at those votes who are uncomfortable with minorities, frankly. There are so many issues affecting Quebec that are much more important at this time. If you look at the economic numbers, job employment numbers, social services, health services, all of that needs work. But there's no problem when it comes to the accommodation of minorities. There's no crisis, but they're changing everyone's focus to really what is a non-issue, And unfortunately, they seem to be successful.
And are you concerned globally, because this is making global headlines, how Quebec now is seen as a province to the rest of the world?
Definitely. Montreal has always been seen as a cosmopolitan place where everyone fits in. Quebec has always been seen as very open and accommodating and welcoming. But this doesn't just reflect on Quebec, it reflects on the rest of Canada. No one would have thought that, Canada would see this happening, because Canada is held out as an example of how everyone gets along very well together, multiculturalism works, and why are we tinkering with a system that is working? It doesn't make any sense.
Why are we tinkering with the system? Last word for you, Salman. Just really a statement or two as to whether or not you agree with what the gentlemen are saying here. Why do this at all?
Well, this is a fabricated crisis that has a very bad solution, a fake neutrality that bringing in first and second class citizens. This is causing total disunity and divisiveness within our society, and attacking and targeting our beautiful diversity. It is really totally bad, and is a bad idea. The only thing that really does, if they relate to it as unity, where it is rather disunity, it united the federal politicians against this law, and indeed united Muslims and Jews and Sikh in a very crowded courtroom. If this ever becomes a law, that will go to challenge it.
Well, I may also very quickly conclude. Yes. Montreal City Hall passed a motion calling for inclusive secularism. It's something that I tabled. It was passed unanimously. All the mayoralty candidates have opposed this charter. It shows that there's a schism between Montreal and perhaps Quebec City on this issue. Montreal is open, tolerant, multi-ethnic. There's a great history of that, and we believe that should continue, and we will obviously oppose the charter.
Gentlemen, lots more to talk about, but we've got to leave it here for this morning. Thank you so much for your input. Appreciate it.